Before I start, I would just like to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to sit and listen to my pitch for the brand new theory-inducing rendition of a timeless classic, Dracula 2020. Now, let's dive right in. Picture this. You find a travel blog on Instagram of one Jonathan Harker. It has beautiful landscapes, heart-throbbing images of third world citizens, and delicious-looking foods. You follow it. It leaves your mind. But a couple weeks later, it keeps popping up on your feed, only the posts have started getting darker. The video's shorter, the caption's a little bit longer, and Jonathan is in a castle. Then your first glimpse of Dracula. And below the post is a caption and a link. Where does it go? The story I want to adapt, as it should be obvious by now, is Bram Stoker's Dracula, a classic that embodies the word with such tenacity that I dare you find somebody over the age of 8 that hasn't heard of it. It's a tale as old as time, one of terror and body horror, and of a group of lovers that have come together ready to pay the ultimate price to stop evil once and for all. It's a bit of a stretch, but I believe stories like these are needed in times like these. There's so much bad going on in the world with Trump's confrontations with NATO and the Ukraine, with Starmer's actions against the working class, and with the cost of living crisis, that people are really being pushed to the edge. What stories we need now are where the good guys win. Escapism at its finest, that distracts you from the horrors of your own world by showing you people overcoming the horrors of theirs. Audiences will latch onto this project because if doom scrolling can capture you for hours, what's a little light stalking of fictional characters? So, the medium, the ARG, how does it work? So, essentially, it is a project that is a weave of websites, blog posts, articles, and videos that will be littered all over the internet for people to find. They will find their way onto the project eventually, but how is up to them. It could be through Mina Harker's ArtStation. It could be through Jonathan Harker's Instagram or John Seward's case notes. It's really up to them. Augmented reality games appeal to a modern audience because they pry on the skills and knowledge that they already have. Everyone knows how to follow a link or search for a specific person on Facebook, so it should be easy to follow. Not only that, but they're stories that take place in our very real virtual world. It's the closest thing you can get to real life while also telling a fictional story. It's the modern version of epistolary, which, as a matter of fact, is the form that the original Dracula takes, so that makes it easier for us. So, the medium, the ARG, how does it work? So, essentially, it is a project that is a weave of websites, blog posts, articles, and videos that will be littered all over the internet for people to find. They will find their way onto the project eventually, but how is up to them. Marketing. None. Virtually none. I want to take a page out of the Blair Witch Project's book for this, where we have no marketing and not even a paid advertisement. The hope is that the curiosity of the idle Instagram and TikTok scroller will be all that it needs to blow up and enter the social media zeitgeist. I mean, do you know how many people have made it on these apps with zero advertisement? Thousands on thousands. The mystery is where we leave all of our cards, and the mystery is what keeps it cheap. You don't have to pay for much. Yes, there will be the actors for the main cast, and some of the locations will be pay to enter, but other than that, the price won't exceed more than £5,000 if we start from scratch with absolutely no equipment. It doesn't need to be expensive, it needs to be cheap, and it needs to be low budget to keep the realism that we're trying to hit. Changes. The time that the story takes place in and some of the characters will be the only changes from the original story. The time will be 2020, and the characters will be updated to reflect that. That's it. Except for Van Helsing. You see, ARGs require some level of agency to follow, and that is quite hard to do when you have a seemingly all-knowing character like Van Helsing in the mix. So I've relegated his role to a chatbot on Dr. Seward's website that they can interact with if they're struggling with finding the next clue. Now, I know that's a major downsizing of his character, but the way that the players will interact with the story will fill the gap, that hole that he's leaving, with their real-world knowledge of mythology and vampires. So, to conclude, was that too long that you didn't watch it? Well, okay, I get it. Here is the pitch in 100 words. Dracula 2020 will be a free ARG that allows players to scour social media and the internet to uncover a story of horror and intrigue where a group of people come together to overthrow evil. It takes place in 2020 and the characters have been updated accordingly. But those are the only changes to the story. This is less of a reimagining, more of a retelling. It may not be a fresh story, but it is definitely a fresh way to tell it. It will cost virtually nothing. Escapism incarnate, a classic for the digital age. Thank you for taking the time to sit down and watch my pitch, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.